Hi everyone. We're on the home stretch now and it's nearly time to submit your final assignment. First, I wanted to say congratulations. On the whole, the improvement in grades was fantastic. This is because you wrote more clearly and as a result you were more able to show your knowledge and understanding. I can't stress enough the importance of using the feedback that you're given in one assignment to inform your next one. We're trying to do everything we can to make sure you pass the unit and understand the concepts that you need to become an effective teacher. I know that many of you are juggling jobs, children and multiple units, and you're doing an amazing job. And it's great to be organised and try to get ahead, but just a bit of a warning about getting assignments in early. This can sometimes be to your detriment. This is because sometimes you've half written your next assignment before you get feedback for the previous one. I know there's a really short turnaround for this one. And then it's tempting to just leave your work the way that it is due to lack of time. Doing the same thing over and over starts to impact on your grade. For example, feedback that you need to get your head around in-text referencing, but continuing without working on this becomes more and more of a problem as you move through the unit and your degree, and then starts to impact on your grade. Getting ahead also means that you miss discussions and resources that will help you to be as successful as you can. Okay. First, a clarification and some advice moving forward. Many people referred to Riley, Mia, Harper and Madison as having issues or difficulties or problems or even learning difficulties or deficiencies when identifying a learning need in the first two assignments. None of these children had a learning problem or a learning difficulty. In fact, their development was entirely age appropriate. These children were beginning writers and readers at different levels of their development, certainly, but still just learning how to read and write. So when we talk about learning needs, we mean, what does the child need to learn next? So, for example, Harper didn't have a difficulty with spelling. She just needed to be taught the next part of how to spell to extend her skills from the current level to the next one. Madison didn't have issues with text organisation. She was just so busy focusing on the creative writing component of her writing that she wasn't thinking about text structure, or maybe she wasn't aware yet that narratives have a text structure, and that's the next thing that the teacher needs to teach her. It's very important that you have this clearly in your mind. This is because the language you think about student development in is usually the language you use when speaking about student development, and the fastest way to panic a parent is to talk about their child's learning difficulties or deficiencies. It's about using professional, unemotive language at all times. In the same vein, many people use what I would call strong or forceful language when they were trying to make a point. Some examples of these are the student should be, it is quite evident that, it's obvious that, or clearly. Not only is language like this indicative of having an opinion rather than taking a balanced and objective approach, it's also very emotive language. And if you use this type of language when speaking to parents, you risk them becoming defensive, which will make your job much harder. Okay, let's think about a couple of things that will help you with this final assignment. This essay, you're being asked to critically evaluate your chosen strategies. I've posted some information to get your head around what this actually means in both this fortnight's discussion and the extra resources discussion board. You're also being asked to talk about benefits and limitations. The benefits of a strategy are much easier to think about, and this was really clear when I was reading your assignments. The limitations are much trickier. Practicality concerns within the classroom are definitely part of it and very valid, and many people went with this. All of the strategies do different things to make up an entire writing or reading program. As teachers, we use reading and writing strategies in conjunction with each other to make sure that we cater for different needs and different stages of development. For example, with writing, when teaching a new skill, modelled writing is the way to go. Then you tend to move through shared writing, then guided writing before getting the children to write independently. It's the gradual release of responsibility as mentioned in the e-text. The way I'd suggest approaching limitations is by thinking about the strategy you're finding limitations for in comparison to all the other strategies. So that is, Compared to the other strategies, what does your chosen strategy, what doesn't it do? And why is it a problem? For example, although students get support through writing conferences, independent writing doesn't allow for teacher modelling, which means that support is provided mostly after the fact, and the children don't necessarily get to apply the skills that that have been talked about straight away. Another example, in guided reading, while targeted at the student's needs and developmental level, the teacher chooses the text, which may or may not be of interest to the student. If it's not of interest, then the teacher has to work a little bit harder to keep the children engaged. Okay. Although many people did a great job when they were making their points and structuring their work, other people found it hard to be really clear about what they were trying to say. This time around, we go back to an essay format. So you need an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. A good structure to use for each paragraph is the Teal structure. This is sometimes called the Peel structure. And I'm going to break that down for you, and hopefully that will make you a little bit more confident as you go about writing this assignment. Teal is used to make your arguments really cohesive and make your essay flow well. The idea is to use it on each paragraph, and this helps to make sure that your ideas are compact and that you're not babbling and that you're sticking to the point of your paragraph. It's a good planning tool when you're writing as well. When you write this way, you'll notice that you could pull out any paragraph in your essay and read it as a standalone argument, and you wouldn't need any other information for it to make sense. It would read like a mini essay within a larger one. The first thing you need to do is come up with a topic sentence for your paragraph. A topic sentence tells the reader what that paragraph's going to be about. Check that it's directly related to the question that you're trying to answer. Next thing you do is expand on the topic sentence. Explain it in more detail. Explain what you mean. Why is your point important? These two things are fairly easy to do. The next thing you need to do is provide evidence. Often when people write, they're talking about what their opinion is, and they don't actually tell you why or give you evidence to back it up with research. Evidence is supporting your idea with material from references such as books and readings. It could be a quote from one of these materials, or you may be paraphrasing what was said, and you cite where people can find more information if they need it. Evidence is really important, otherwise your essay is just your opinion. At the end of the paragraph, you need to link this evidence back to your topic sentence and the purpose of the essay to tie everything together neatly. You could also refer to your next point in your essay if you want to. Linking is important. It tells me about your thinking, why you chose that evidence and what it was meant to show. So in this part, you'll be thinking, analysing and clarifying your evidence a little bit as well. Just to clarify, this is for each paragraph within the body of your essay. It's not an essay structure, it's a paragraph structure. Each paragraph within your essay, from your introduction to your conclusion, can follow this structure. At the end of your concluding paragraph, however, your linking sentence becomes a concluding sentence stating your position on the argument based on all the evidence within the essay. So what does this look like in the context of this assignment? Let's have a look at what a paragraph and one of the writing strategies might look like. You'll define the strategy in 1 or 2 sentences. You'll explain more about what this strategy involves. You might refer to the e-text or another source here. Give an example or two of what aspects of reading or writing that strategy supports and say how they can be supported, and then link back to how this strategy is used to develop student reading. Then you'll move on to a paragraph about benefits and limitations of the strategy that you've just described. You'll talk about some of the benefits and limitations and then go a bit deeper and explain the main benefit and main limitation of the strategy. You'll give evidence by giving an example of how the main benefit relates to a content descriptor from a curriculum document, how it looks in the classroom maybe, followed by the same for the main limitation. Finally, you'll talk about these benefits and limitations and how they impact teaching practice and student learning. These are just a guide. You don't have to go about it in this way, but it will help you make your ideas really clear. Okay, that's all for now. As always, if you have questions, post them on the discussion board or send me an email. Thanks everyone.